Welcome to the Shadow Realm, everyone. Thank you for joining me, RedHannya, here for video number 200. Yes, 200. Back around the beginning of the year, in January, I reviewed my Mecha Godzilla coin bank, and after I reviewed this figure, it being one of the only somewhat kind of figures, it's not really a figure because it's a coin bank, but it's still a figure. But after I reviewed this, people were posting and telling me that I should collect some of the Bandai Creations and Bandai Godzilla figures. I was really interested, actually, so I went searching on the interwebs, and to my knowledge, it was a lot harder than I thought it was to track some of them down. And if you couldn't tell by the name of the video, the figure I finally tracked down was one of my favorite villains in the Godzilla universe, Gigan. So let's get this review going. So it took me some time to finally get my hands on this figure. I was searching eBay for some time, actually, before I finally came across this guy. My big dilemma was, I am such a noob when it comes to collecting these Godzilla figures. I'll just admit that right now. This is my first one ever really in my possession because I don't count the Mecha Godzilla vinyl coin bank as a figure. So, like, when it came to these, I was so confused because I was looking on eBay and some people would have them listed as Bandai Creations or Bandai, and then I'd look at one, but hey, wait, isn't that the Bandai Creations one? It's like, oh no, that's the Bandai one, but I thought that was the Bandai. So I couldn't tell if sellers were listing their items wrong, but I was really confused between the difference between Bandai figures and Bandai Creation figures. But after some digging on the interwebs, I figured out, or I've come to the conclusion, I still may be wrong, so if I am, post in the comments and correct me and tell me how much of a noob I am. But Bandai figures are from Bandai Japan, so the original figures released in Japan, and Bandai Creations is a United States based part of the company Bandai that releases these Godzilla figures here in the United States. I think that's what the deal was. I was just really confused while searching the figures, so either way, end of story. I eventually came across this Bandai Creations, I'm pretty sure it's a Bandai Creations Gigan from the first wave. He is marked 2002 here on the bottom of his foot, made in China. And here on his other foot it says trademark copyright 2002 Toho Company Ltd. And then just this other little white number of the figure. So yeah, I finally got my hands on a Gigan. Holy crap, I've been looking for a while. I don't know why. I was like, should I collect the 3-inch figures, the really tiny ones, or the 12-inch figures? The 12-inch figures are really hard to find now, or at least from my experience looking. But then I finally decided, you know what, I'm just going to collect the 6-inch figures, because it's not the biggest, as you can kind of tell the way it's here in my hands. It's about 6.5 inches, almost 7, so 6.5 inches tall. A considerable size. It's not bad, actually. So I decided to collect the 6-inch figures, and yeah. But before I get on to the actual figure, let's just go over some, not history, but just some information about Gigan for some people who don't know who he is. Gigan first appeared in 1972 Godzilla vs. Gigan, also known as Godzilla on Monster Island. Ooh, look, there he is. There's Gigan. We're dead. And then later on, in 1973, the very next year, he appeared again in Godzilla vs. Megalon. Jet Jaguar, Gigan, the boss. Megalon was this giant beetle bug with drills for hands, but Gigan also appeared in this movie too, and he's on the spine of the film. He's on the spine of the movie too, right here. Kind of cool. This is a really rare Blu-ray for anyone that doesn't know or may not know. And then he was not seen again for quite some time, and 1973 was the last time we saw him, or for a while, until 2004's Godzilla Final Wars. He appeared in this, but with a redesign. He didn't look like this. This is like the old school 70s Gigan look. So yeah, he appeared again in Final Wars, but with a whole new look, and then holy crap, look at all the monsters that appeared in Final Wars. So that's about it for history on Gigan and his film appearances in the Godzilla franchise. So let's take a closer look at the figure. So right away off the bat, you're probably going to be able to tell this figure has a pretty decent amount of wear and scuff marks. He's got some paint wear here on his nose, some here on his claws. I bought it used. Perhaps I will try to keep an eye out for a better condition one and then maybe sell this one off eventually later, but I really wanted a Showa era Gigan for one of my first figures here in my collection. And detail is actually pretty good to the Gigan that we saw in the film. I mean, it's not 100% accurate, but for a little 6-inch vinyl figure, it's pretty rocking. Paint applications are really nice on this figure. He's mostly just green and gold, with a lot of his spikes and his hook hands and his hook feet kind of just being silver. So it's basically just the 4 different colors, because then you also have his eye visor, or his visor eye, whichever you want to say. It's like a dark maroony red color. I'm not sure 100% how accurate this is to the Gigan in the movie, but I'd say it's pretty darn close. I saw a few other Gigan figures. There was like a black edition one, there was like a aqua blue looking one, and there was this green one, and I feel like this dark green really matches how he appeared in the movie the most. His dorsal fins, not really articulated, but you can move them a little bit because it's like a hard plasticky. Really like the detail down the tail. Some paint wear at the end of the tail on mine. Like how they painted all the spikes. Really, really nice looking. His it almost looks like King Ghidorah. Really, really nice looking. This figure just has guy in a rubber suit written all over it, and that's why I like it. Who doesn't like people in giant monster rubber suits going around destroying huge sets and vehicles and causing chaos? He also has this buzzsaw on the front of his stomach. Really cool. They painted the saw blades each individually. Really nice, really nice. Another thing to note too, I've seen a few other Gigan figures. I'm not sure what wave they were released from, but this one they actually just individually painted these spikes coming up his head. A few other ones I saw, it looks like they just had spray paint marks going up from his neck here to the top of his head to this last spike. So like there wasn't any green here in between each one. It was kind of just like a solid gray stripe going up the head. So like really nice that they individually painted those. Now for articulation. The figure's got 5 points of articulation. The head can't really go through 60. Kind of just goes left and right. You may be able to go through 60, but I don't want to force it and break it. But it moves a little bit. Arms can go through 60. Both of them. And the legs can go through 60 if you wish. Don't know why you would, but they can. So for one of my first Bandai Creation Godzilla figures here, I have to say I'm really happy with this figure. I like it a lot. Gigan being one of my favorite villains in the universe. I don't even know how to describe him. He's like a giant cyborg chicken alien assassin with hooks for hands. He's really a unique monster, and I don't know, that's why I feel like I like him a lot. I remember first seeing him in the movies and I was like, he is just really freaking cool looking, whatever he is. He can fly. So yeah, I highly recommend this figure if you can find them, or if you can find any of the other Bandai Gigan figures. I'd give them a thumbs up if you can find them for the right price. So check them out. I hope everyone enjoyed this review. This is one of them. I'm kind of like dipping into new territory here. I've never reviewed a Godzilla figure here on my channel, so this is like one of the first. So I hope people enjoyed. I'm not really sure what else there is to say about him. There's not really much else to go over. Just 5 points of articulation, and he's got a pretty nice paint job for the most part. I like the paint job and the paint applications. It's really nicely done. I mean, minus the little paint wear marks and stuff mine has because I bought it used. But if you have one of these in mint condition, it must be really freaking badass. So I recommend you check them out. Give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed this, or if you like Gigan, or if you have this figure, and post in the comments down below and tell me what you think. Share, comment, and subscribe to the RedHannya YouTube page. Thank you guys for joining me. I hope you enjoyed, and tune in next week because I will be continuing Godzilla figures as I will be reviewing Gigan Final Wars from Bandai Creations. It's the updated more modern version of Gigan. Gigan from the 70s. Gigan from the Millennium era. Hope everyone enjoyed, and I'll be seeing you next week as I review Gigan.